Let's go.
Okay,
All right. Yeah, call me later to let me know.
call order, planning and zoning meeting, acting as board of adjustment. Adjustment, very well, can I take roll call?
Brian sending. Word one, word two, excuse me.
You're just P and Z right now.
Yeah, P and Z.
P and Z. Ed Wilson, President P and Z.
Debbie Murphy, planning and zoning.
Nikki Doyen, Ward one.
Okay, we're missing Nate from Solar, but we still have four.
Yep.
So we will move on to pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it should be there. Yep.
So,
We,
first thing we got is we got to do approval of minutes. Like to get somebody to motion for the approval of the minutes for September. Oh. Just,
it should say,
what's the October 17th, sorry about that, that's the thing.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from October 17th.
Get it, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes passed.
You want me to go into this one time?
Yeah.
Okay, reason we are having this is there's a variance request on 510 South Sixth Street. A gentleman wants to put, it's a garden shed on skids, but it meets the criteria of a private garage by square footage, which then the differences between that is a private garage has to follow setbacks on your side and rear yard property lines of 7 feet and 7 feet both ways on that, unless they're abutting an alley. Garden shed can be 3 feet off of each way. This gentleman is looking at just having a 4-foot variance on the side property because he wants to put it off the 3 feet, because he has a raised flower bed in his backyard, right within 3 feet of that, and then on the opposite side of this raised flower beds, he has a swimming pool. So he's just asking for a variance request. I kind of feel that I'm in approval of this just because it's not a permanent structure being put in the backyard. It's on skids, it's on a public gravel base. I have no reason to object to that being done.
What about the neighbors?
Neighbors are aware and are fine with it, so. I'm hoping to approve.
Oh, okay. That's always good to know.
Yes.
Okay, so with what Ryan said, my recommendation would also be pretty much where Ryan's at, based on the fact that it's not a permanent structure. With the existing flower beds being there in the pool where they're at, that does show a hardship for locating it on that corner of the property. So I would recommend to give the variance, use 12 by 20, anything over 200 square foot is the limit. He's at 244 square foot, so, with that, if anybody's got any questions or not. Anybody want to make a motion to approve or anything?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Anybody second?
I'll second them.
All those in favor? You opposed? Oh. Alrighty, we are,
Before you close, there's just a couple FYIs, and I need some advice on some of it. The FYI is someone is looking at purchasing the old trailer court, put multi-family buildings up there for developing it and everything like that. Very beginning stages of it, just want to kind of let everybody know, it was, I believe it's zoned as an R3, so it's zoned perfectly for a multifamily. But he's in the preliminary stages of working with to see what he can be done. I mean, he's already talked to the Corps of Engineers about wetland mitigation and everything, with the creek and everything. So he's doing his due diligence with the gentleman that's talked to me. So just kind of make an FYI on that. If he meets all the requirements and follows all of our planning and zoning guidelines, they shouldn't have to come back to anybody here. The other one that I need kind of a insight, and this has been talked about prior, and I'd have to go back in previous minutes because I think it is, there's a property in town where, the house sits all the way to the back of the property. And the garage is in the back of the property. They are actually encroaching on their rear yard setbacks with their house and garage. They just moved a shed in without any approval by the city, a garden shed. I think it's under 200 square feet. Put it next to the garage, which would constitute the front yard. But the thing is, this property, the front yard is 130 feet long. And it sits probably 40 to 50 feet behind the rears of all the properties on that. So I'm gonna have to give the gentleman a notice saying you don't have a permit. You need to place, per our code, it's gotta be in your rear yard for a shed unless you ask for a variance. And he's gonna come to me with a question like, well, can I get a variance? And I know this was talked about years ago, because there's a couple of properties in town where their houses are on their rear property line, so everything is in the front yard, and we don't allow things in the front yard. So what does everybody feel, or what can I do? It's a small garden shed.
What's the
It-
price?
I looked at it, I think both on the property, it's under 200 square feet. I bet you it's behind by like 16,
Is this on?
possibly, yes.
What else? What about the side yard? You know, we have the garage.
Right, but see, the side
There is no side yard.
there is no side yard, the properties are that wide, so,
So what is it like? I mean,
front yard, you have an engineer front yard. You're not having.
but because of the nature of the lot, it's inverted.
Correct. And it's behind all the other people's, it's in the backyard of everybody else, if you drew a straight line. So, but it doesn't, again, just like this garden shed, it doesn't meet the parameters of that, so would we create a variance request for this as a hardship, as he has no backyard, but he still has to, variance request?
Is that the one on Moorfield? Wouldn't he kind of be grandfathered in though, because that house has been there a million
It
years?
has, but everything's a front yard.
There's no grandfather in.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that's.
I don't know any of this
Honestly,
thing
what I
like
think you
that.
should do is, I think you should get a schematic of what it is. You need to bring it to P and Z. I think you need to give it to the city attorney and figure out how we can accommodate people that have had the houses here for 100 years. So we're not being unreasonable. I think being reasonable makes sense.
Yeah.
And so but we just need to do it in such a way so it's documented, so that way any future landowners don't have a problem, or any neighboring landowners don't cause a problem.
Well, and that's what it is, that's what.
Okay.
To the attention of the neighboring.
Why don't you get that schematic over to the city attorney? Let
So
him-
now, I start doing
Keep in mind,
because this is really, it was brought to me as a neighbor request. I'm going to tell him this is wrong, but really to write it, he's supposed to follow.
We recommend that he gets a schematic to the city so we can forward it to the city attorney to figure out how we can work with him on this. That's what sorry.
so
Sorry.
with that being said also, so Minnehaha County itself allows
Stuff to be in front of you.
it to be in the front yard if the houses are set back, as long as it doesn't
But we're
encroach.
still bound to city ordinance.
No, I know, so, but with being in the city, it would be more so to the neighbors within a block radius. Would be more, okay, then, if anybody opposes to it, then it would
You
be,
guys you're not gonna, there's nothing wrong with taking it through proper channels and making sure that this is vetted, because this isn't gonna be the last time this is happening. And since we're gonna be scrubbing all of our ordinances anyway, this is the perfect example of how do we handle existing buildings that clearly do not meet standard, and maybe we can write an ordinance that doesn't accommodate the specific situation, but speaks to the fact of existing structures with extenuating situations. We grant the ability of P and Z to be able to make case by case judgment calls, because we understand that there's going to be extenuating circumstances. If you write an ordinance like that, then we're covered in every scenario like
Thanks
this.
to the same property owner had requested privacy, that's something one time. You can't have anything over 36 inches in your front yard. But you can, and that's where it was told him, you can't do it, but maybe you should pay your neighbors to put one on their fence, on their yard. And then you have a fence, you have actually the good side of the fence towards your property. But you by our ordinances, can't have a 6-foot privacy fence in your front
I
yard.
think at this point in time, we just alert John to the situation. We'll be back in the continental United States sometime tonight.
So next
And then
time,
we can figure out a way to write an ordinance to accommodate these things.
next time you talk, we'll. I will get the
I'll have them do
back
that.
dates, building permit,
Yeah,
and then go through the proper.
correct. I will, I'll have to do my site.
Channels, and then get permission to get it in writing from your.
Yeah.
This
You're
wouldn't,
okay.
this wouldn't be any different than what we did for this.
Right,
There's
it's just-
there's an existing situation. We just have to take a look at our laws, knowing that they're outdated, and we're gonna accommodate reality.
Yeah.
That's what all this is.
I just wish we would have got Peterson. Ryan would have got something from Peterson.
I thought you did have something.
I thought you had something.
Well, now we have it on video.
Well, yeah, we have a document now,
Yeah, we'll
but
put it in the minutes.
What?
so recorded.
All this, one, I didn't think it was. And I just,
Okay,
not,
are we-
what the? That,
All right.
It wasn't on
With
you.
that being said, can I get a
Was it on?
motion for
you
adjournment?
shut it off.
No, no.
Make the motion to adjourn at 7:15.
Need a second.
I'll say.
All right. And all in favor?
Uh,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good.
So,